Welcome to your reset with Christiane Piano, where the purpose is to support you in releasing all that you are not, so the truth of who you really are can emerge. This is accomplished through working with the body-mind from an ontological perspective. We use various modalities to support you in supporting yourself exactly where you are, so that you may return to an experience of wholeness and ease, moment by moment. Deep reflection is one of the greatest tools through which to do this. To take a moment, to pause, assess, reflect, and literally and figuratively reset, come back to center, and move back into your one and precious life with increased clarity and purpose. Hello, I'm Christiane Piano, and today's episode is a reflection on summer. So, when you think of the summertime, what do you think of? And the reason I ask this question is in preparing for this episode, I asked people what the relationship was to summer out of curiosity, because each of us has a relationship to different seasons of the year. And our relationship to the season will greatly impact not only our experience of this season, but what's possible for ourselves in that season. And I will relate this back, as always, to your body-mind well-being and growth. But it can be interesting to think of the memories that come up connected to the summer season. And so if I look up the etymology of summer, there's many connections, but the one that highlighted for me was the Latin connection. Because what is stated is the Latin word estival traces back to aestas, which is the Latin word for summer, in which also gives us estivat, a verb for spending the summer in a torpid state, a sort of hot weather equivalent of hibernating. Which got me thinking, goodness, it's already been 6 months since the beginning of 2024. And the winter months are famous for being months perfect for hibernating, and I had never made that connection. But then as I dug deeper and further and reflected some more, on the 21st of June, which is landing on a Friday, interestingly enough, it's the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. And the summer solstice reminds us to turn inward and find the nourishment needed to grow and evolve. It is a time to pause and wait for the energy planted in the spring to reach full bloom. So if the spring represents action, then summer represents patience. Now, did you take the time to plant in the spring, to cultivate energy as it is about to become in full bloom. Now, in the modern world, we often find ourselves living through each season as if there was no shift or change. Our activities tend to be quite repetitive and the same. Yes, school lets out. So for some, that means, like for children, I have a break from school. But a mother who has children at home, her pace of life changes depending on their age. Depending on where you live in the world, it can also be a time for taking vacations. And a question that's always wonderful to ask oneself is, what do I need a vacation from? I think I'll do another episode on that. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but if you think of just the idea of summer as a time to be in a state of patience. Patience for what? Well, there's this famous quote by the author of Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, named Shunryu Suzuki. And he states, it will take quite a long time before you find your calm, serene mind in your practice. So in whatever you are practicing, where could you cultivate patience? Summertime is a time of great heat, longer days. But that heat, depending on our relationship to heat, can impact our body-mind. And so it's a wonderful time to play with our relationship to balance. If there's too much heat, we have bloating. There's a fiery buildup within. In fact, gun violence goes up during the summer months. Violence in general goes up during the summer months. And a lot of that is connected to fiery buildup within. So how can we allow for fiery, stagnant energy, bloating, to diffuse itself when too much heat has been built up within? We need to look for a way to cool, to refresh, and to support a state of flow in body and mind and your relationship to your body-mind as a whole. So movement can be quite useful during this time of year to support the diffusion of the built-up heat, the fiery energy, stagnant energy, and bloating. So it's always a really great time of the year to take a look at the beginning of any season, actually, is how can I adjust my movement practices to support what's needed most right now and today, which may be different from last year. They need to bring a cooling to support us in bringing us back into balance. So you could ask yourself the question, well, where do I have too much fire energy? And then how can I support myself in bringing balance there? And do I have the patience to cultivate it? Because it takes time to shift energy. It takes time for the body temperature to shift. So what is your relationship to patience? And perhaps where is an area of your life this summer where you would like to cultivate more patience? So being that it's 6 months since the beginning of 2024, the summertime is also an opportunity to reflect on how would I like to use this energy that's provided by these extra long summer days? How can I hone and channel it? What am I creating in my life right now, today? How am I taking care of myself? Where in my life do I need to shine more light? If we're talking about balance and body-mind well-being, where do I need to reset to get back into a state of balance? To be able to ask oneself that question, first you need to be clear on where am I out of balance? It takes a bit of honesty, and then what's needed to come back into balance. So when it comes to cultivating patience, in developing balance and returning to balance, remember that growth does not happen on our own timeline, and it rarely looks like what we think it will. So if you think of where you started off at the beginning of the year and what you envisioned for yourself and the vision you are living into, it's a wonderful time to take a look at where adjustments could be made. And how would taking this time to move into a state of hibernation, maybe not all day long, all week long, or all month long, but really take some time to pause. Pause from the hustle and bustle. Pause from the rush that comes from trapped speed in the nervous system. Pause from the monkey mind. Unplug and just simply give yourself a moment to breathe, to cool down, to focus inward. What type of nourishment is needed? And not just food-wise, but also to support your growth and evolution. With the extra sunlight, it can get quite bright out there, hence the need for sunglasses. And you may be asking yourself, as I shed my layers through practicing of self-care, and as I'm finding more ease and clarity, you are a bright light for a world that needs more light. And how would you like to spread that light and infuse it? There's another beautiful quote by Shinru Suzuki that says, "We say to shine one corner of the world. That's enough. Not the whole world." So you don't have to create a revolution, but you can choose in your own way how to share that light. Now, if you're not feeling particularly light and it's quite dark for you, what's creating that state of darkness? Is there a sense of disconnection in that darkness? And a shining a light of where there is a sense of disconnect and challenge. And how could you support yourself, and what kind of conversations could you have? What changes could you make to support a return to a state of connection in body-mind, which will then flow out into a connection with other people and the world as a whole? So, if you think about the fact that we're moving into a summer season shortly, I do hope you will take a time and a moment for yourself. Schedule them in and practice self-care. Practice resetting, releasing, letting go, nourishing, recharging, whatever it is you need to come back into balance. Because when you're in a state of balance, you flow more easily with whatever is coming your way from a place of neutrality. As always, I hope you enjoyed this session, and feel free to share it with whomever you think could use a reflection on the summer months. And as always, I do hope to hear from you and how this particular episode resonated with you. If you're interested in participating in an online series, the next series coming up is just in time for summer. It begins June 23rd. It's a 2-week series, and it's called Play. Discover why play is not frivolous, but an essential to your body-mind well-being. If you are interested in working with me on any other level, whether it be through the video-on-demand services, privates in person or online, or one-on-one maturation coaching, feel free to reach out, growth@christianepiano.com, or schedule a free 50-minute consult directly on the appointment section.